Showing why he is the Australian champion. 12 deep pocket hits for 248. You can't bowl much better than that, and of course putting his opponent well out of business. But in today's game we've got Mark Ramsay, who we've seen before with that brilliant 268, and his opponent is Terry Wenban. Now Terry Wenban is the 1985 Australian Bowler of the Year. He won the 1989 Canberra Open Grand Prix, and he is a previous winner of the South Pacific Classic. This promises to be a very close game.
Mark Ramsay on the approach and ready to deliver. First up in this next clash in our coverage of the South Pacific Classic.
Oh, that was a wayward shot by Mark Ramsay. He'll need to have all his wits about him against Terry Wenban, that's for sure.
Terry Wenban on the lanes now, the great New South Wales champion.
That's why. And he's a very methodical player. Not too many histrionics with Terry Wenban. He just gets up and puts them in the pocket like that pretty much all day long when he's on. Mark Ramsay battling to retain third place in the tournament. He had 268 in an earlier match, but then he suffered a little bit of misfortune in the following game, and he's sitting in third place now behind Ian Bradford and Ramsay.
He's got a tough competitor, Terry Wenban, very good TV player.
A very good TV player. You don't get them much better than that. Oh, opening for Terry Wenban. Have a look at it again. Oh, crash.
Wenban's not in the top 7 at the moment, but when you watch shots like this, you could wonder why.
Yes, it's a bit of a cruel game sometimes. But, we're back with Ramsay now. And he's changed balls too. That's an interesting move. Oh, well, it's a good move, obviously.
This Mark, a few weeks ago here, bowled a very good 268 game, and the first ball of this game, he didn't get the same reaction, so he's made an adjustment. Good thinking by the young player. And a bold move, too. And we're back with Wenban, who started with 2 strikes in a row.
Bowling up with a polished AMF Ultra Angle bowling ball, and that one should slide a fair way before it starts to turn, and that's exactly what it did for 3 strikes. Gee, we've had some wonderful games in our Sky Channel coverage this year. Some of the people out there watching, well, you should ring one of your local AMF bowling centres and get on down there and see if you can emulate the feats of these people. I doubt whether you'll get as many strikes, but you might get a few and get some of the spares and have a bit of fun while you're at it. There's AMF bowling centres all over Australia. There's 38 of them, and they're in the yellow pages.
Looking for a strike and finding it. We've got another big match here. Terry Wenban's the 1981 South Pacific Classic champion. He's been one of the biggest winners in the history of the sport in Australia. And he has started the game with 3 strikes in a row. Ramsay's come back with 2 strikes of his own.
Picture of concentration as he lines up for this one, which could be his 4th, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, we saw the tournament leader, Ian Bradford, leave one of those in the midst of 8 strikes in a row, and Terry Wenban's done exactly the same thing. Bob, a comment from you on this one.
Yes, it's actually an unlucky shot. He's been left with the worst possible result. The ball was in the pocket. He's kicked the 5-pin out, which is the desire. Just not enough to get it over towards the 7.
Well, that gave Ramsay a life, and he's taken full toll of Terry Wenban's misfortune by putting another ball in the pocket. So Mark Ramsay, the new game leader, virtue of that strike.
Steve, you mentioned a few moments ago about people going down to their bowling centre and having a go at the game. How long does it take the person that walks in off the street to get themselves to a reasonable competition standard, shall we say.
Well, Brenton Manning's a good example of that. The South Australian bowler has only been around 4 years and he's already won a couple of major titles. He's fairly much the exception rather than the rule. Mark Ramsay's been bowling a long time. Ian Bradford paid his dues. I remember Terry Wenban spending time between surfboard riding and bowling when he was just in his teenage years. It usually takes about 10 years to get to a level of proficiency where you can knock the pins down like Mark Ramsay has for the 4th time in a row there. About 10 years. It's a game of repetition, and at this level it's certainly much a physical game and a mental game.
Yes, I think the repetition side of it is one that would be emphasized, that the fact that you have to keep your mind on the job.
Keep your mind on good thoughts too. It's a game of offense rather than defense. The moment you start defending and bowling, you start doing all sorts of weird things. And you really need to try and attack all the time. Terry's certainly been attacking, and we've seen Mark Ramsay before, and there's no way he ever lets up.
Wenban started this game very strongly with the 3 strikes. He had that unlucky break in the 4th frame, and it's put him behind the match now with 4 strikes of Mark Ramsay's. So you can never take anything for granted.
Yes, it's always good in a match to get away with 3 or 4 strikes to start the game, but of course Terry Wenban opened that 4th frame. And Mark's just taking stock of the situation here, waiting for the pin to be removed on an adjacent lane so that he can bowl without interference. Bowling's the sort of game where the players need tunnel vision rather than peripheral vision. It's not a tennis or a golf sort of sport where people are moving around at the side. It's very difficult to maintain that concentration when there's movement. Ramsay now looking for 5 strikes in a row. This is the top of the 6th for him. He's a leader by about, what, 20?
Yes, 20 pins. Could increase that with another strike here.
Oh.
Yes, no. What a bad luck.
It was a tough break.
The ball will tunnel into those pins and didn't deflect one little bit. Such a strong ball. And that's a very unusual result. And give Wenban a chance if he can capitalise. It's a good shot.
Oh, yes, it is. Well, Terry's had 6 good shots. Mark's had 5, yet Mark's the leader by about 25 pins. Well, we're back with Wenban now, and he'll be just playing his own game, even though he's not listed in the top 7 here. He's not far out of it, and his pride dictates that he must bowl a good game against Mark Ramsay. Another good shot.
Henny's ball's tucked in under the head pin and hasn't dug out the 10 pin. It's coming back late. 6 pins kicking into the gutter rather than into the 10 pin.
Yes, the look of disdain on the bowlers' faces in our split screen coverage. It's quite often more interesting to watch their reaction than see the pins go over again.
This Wenban needs to work out why this is happening and make an adjustment. So this match is going to slip away from him and into Mark Ramsay's hands. It takes a lot of experience and knowledge to work out the difference in a 10-pin wrap and a strike, and to know what to do about it. Wenban should have the answers.
Well, one of the things that I remember doing when I was a bit of a tournament player was to angle the feet towards the pins instead of straight on, and that quite often kicked those corner pins out. And I know that you, as the National All-Star champion bowled in the 70s, you were able to adjust your feet and make those moves.
Yes, Steve, I used to find coming a little bit more down the middle of the lane when the ball was breaking back sharply was the answer. I think Terry would do well to give that a try.
Oh, what a good game we've seen here by Mark Ramsay on this pair. Twice now. He had a 268 once before, and now 4 strikes and another 2 strikes and 2 spares, 149 in the 6th. Plays 126.
And he's starting to run away with it. Terry's losing the strikes. He's lost another 10 pins. He's 30 behind, and it's already the 8th frame. The bowler can look so good, Ken, and he can get totally out of business.
Yes. It's amazing, isn't it? Well, here's the feet in action. What do you see, Bob?
Oh, it's a good straight approach. Wenban has a good direct approach to the line. I think he should just try a different angle. Footwork's good, but it's just in the wrong spot.
Yes, it's pretty touchy down there. The pins are 15 inches tall, and there's 12 inches separating the middle of each pin to the middle of every other pin. And you only need to be a hair's breadth off at the starting point, and by the time you get 15 feet away and let the ball go, it can have quite a vastly different reaction on the pins. Back with Ramsay now, looking for another strike.
He's on line again. Not this time.
Yes, he just eased up a little bit then, and he came back and sort of looked at his hand, and he's got that pretty much ritualistic situation here. He gets that thumb, some rosin on it. There's all sorts of things that we're watching. As Terry Wenban comes up now with another strike from him. And he looked so good early on. But, just couldn't quite carry the 4-pin a few times. Left that 7-10 split. He lost a bit of momentum after that.
It's a bit wider, that shot, and he's splashed the pins around. Well, Terry's not actually out of the game. Ramsay needs this spare.
Well, he just got it too. That's a very missable spare, but he got it nonetheless. 197 in the 8th frame to 165, so 32 pins the difference. Wenban has room, however, for a 225. He can go all the way.
10th frame for Terry Wenban. He has to get a strike to have any chance against Mark Ramsay. Can he do it? Can he what? What a reply, Ken.
Yes, it was probably one of the most confident shots we've seen him send down for quite some time, and right into the game to be doing it.
Undoubtedly.
Yes, and good foot placement there we can see on that shot. No wonder it hit 10 into the pit.
Well, Ramsay knows he has to close this frame. He has to get a strike or a spare, or Wenban could beat him. See how he performs.
Well, a little bit of pressure, and it wasn't quite as crisp a shot as he's had in the past. And left the 7-pin stand.
Terry Wenban needs another strike. Looks pretty good.
Oh, yes. Very good shot. So, an interesting situation now. Mark Ramsay's got his most difficult pin on the pin deck, the 7-pin. He needs to spare this to win the game. And because of this strike that we're watching now by Terry Wenban, if he misses, Terry needs another strike to tie. Exciting stuff. Oh, no problems, and that was a good relief for Mark Ramsay then, I'm sure, to get that spare. That will certainly keep him in the top 3 positions in this tournament. And that was a very solidly compiled 225, I might say. Never missed the pocket once, did Terry Wenban. 8 strikes.
Listen, he came home with those strikes by doing exactly the opposite of what I suggested.
What does that go to prove?
He moved to the right instead of to the left. It just goes to show you there are many variations in this sport.
There's many ways to skin the pins, perhaps. 235 to 225, and a win to Mark Ramsay, consolidating his position in the field at the moment.
And so a 10-pin win to Mark Ramsay with 235 to 225. Terry Wenban, the 1981 South Pacific champion, going down